Number 15. A land of such immensity that its true scale defies human understanding. The Amazon rainforest covers about 72 trillion square feet, equivalent to more than 2.58 million square miles. If it were a separate country, it would be larger than both India and Mexico, with an area roughly about 2/3 of the United States. This also makes up most of the entire Amazon region of about 75 trillion square feet, representing a very large share of the remaining tropical rainforest area on Earth. This rainforest stretches across 9 South American countries. About 60% of it lies within Brazil, while the rest is in Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. Inside this green continent, studies estimate there are tens of thousands of plant species, thousands of freshwater fish species, more than 1,000 bird species, along with many mammals, reptiles, amphibians, and countless insects. Many of these species are endemic to the Amazon, meaning they exist only here, and scientists are still continuing to survey and describe them. The Amazon is often called the green lungs of the planet, but from a modern scientific perspective, its most important role is as a massive carbon store and a natural moisture pump. The forests and rivers here absorb a huge amount of CO2, storing it in biomass and soil, while also releasing water vapor into the atmosphere, forming rivers of clouds that bring rain to many other parts of South America. In other words, the Amazon is not just a big forest on a map. It is a living, continent-scale system that can influence regional climate and help shape the air we breathe, even if you live very far from it. Number 14. Pink river dolphin, a mysterious creature tied to strange local legends. In the murky brown waters of the Amazon, there's an animal that looks like it came straight out of a fairy tale: the pink river dolphin, or boto. Unlike ocean dolphins, they live in rivers and flooded forests, where visibility is very poor. An adult boto can grow longer than about 8 feet, weigh over 330 pounds, and is considered the world's largest freshwater dolphin. Their signature pink color isn't anything mystical. It comes from blood vessels close to the skin, along with layers of tissue and scars that build up over time as they bump into rocks, trunks, and tree roots in the muddy water. Young dolphins are usually gray. As they grow, they become pinker, sometimes turning a deeper shade when they're very active. A boto's neck is unusually flexible compared to sea dolphins. Its neck vertebrae let it turn its head to weave through a maze of roots and broken branches underwater. With limited visibility, they rely heavily on echolocation to see their surroundings and hunt. For people living along the river, the boto isn't just an animal, it's also a figure in local legend. Many folk tales say there are dolphin spirits that can transform into a well-dressed young man, appear during nighttime festivals, and then vanish near dawn. Even if it's only a myth, that detail shows how the pink river dolphin has become a spiritual symbol of the Amazon, deeply tied to cultural life, and also an important link in the river ecosystem. Number 13. The walking palm tree, rainforest myth or real-life science. In the Amazon, there's a palm tree that almost everyone finds strange-looking the first time they see it. Socratia ixoryza, commonly called the walking palm. It doesn't grow from a single round trunk planted straight into the ground like most trees. Instead, it stands on a cluster of long, slanted stilt roots that spread in different directions, like a bundle of skinny legs holding the whole tree up. These stilt roots can rise more than about 3 feet above the ground, lifting the trunk above wet soil, mud, and rotting leaves, while also spreading out the weight, so the tree can stay stable on shallow, soft ground that erodes easily or floods often. Above that, the trunk is fairly straight and neat, and it can reach over 30 feet tall, making it look like a long pole supported by a bony bundle of legs underneath. From a scientific standpoint, the walking palm doesn't actually move on its own the way an animal does. What people describe is really the result of an adaptation involving its unusual stilt root system. When environmental conditions change, such as soil erosion, weak ground, low nutrients, or uneven light, the tree can grow new stilt roots on the side with better conditions, while older roots on the less favorable side weaken and slowly decay. Over time, this ongoing shift can very slowly change the tree's support points and center of balance, causing the trunk to lean slightly and the base position to drift a small amount. So what people are seeing isn't a tree that walks, but an extremely slow mechanical adjustment that helps it stay upright and adapt to steep terrain and thin soils in the tropical rainforest. Number 12. The Yanomami, where the map shows almost no trace of human presence. In the middle of the Amazon rainforest, there is a tribe that lives in the true sense of a deep jungle tribe, the Yanomami. If you look from above using satellite images, among the areas of forest that have been cut down, their territory shows up as a dense block of green with almost no roads, mining sites, or farms, an old-growth rainforest oasis protected by a single tribe. The Yanomami live in very distinctive villages. The entire village has just one enormous round communal house called a shabono. Dozens of families hang hammocks and keep cooking fires around the outer ring. The open space in the center is where everything important in the tribe happens. Village meetings, rituals, dancing, and hosting visitors from other groups. Men hunt, fish, and clear garden plots. Women farm, gather, and bring back roots, fruits, and forest foods to the cooking fires. From food and medicine, to building materials for homes, to musical instruments and stories passed down through generations, almost everything comes from the forest. The customs of this tribe are also very different from the outside world. They often paint their bodies with a red dye made from uruku seeds, wear bird feathers and beaded jewelry during festivals, and see gift exchanges and group dancing as a way to strengthen ties among Yanomami groups. To scientists, the Yanomami's territory is a rare biodiversity hotspot that is still almost intact in the Amazon. But to them, it is simply home. And because their way of life depends on the forest and avoids large-scale clearing, they have unintentionally become one of the most effective communities on the planet at protecting natural rainforest. Number 11. The underwater creature with an electric shock that makes the whole jungle think twice. In the pitch-black stretches of the Amazon's dark water rivers, there's a fish that doesn't look very impressive at first glance, but it carries an extremely powerful weapon, the electric eel. Even though it's called an eel, it's actually a special kind of fish with the ability to generate electricity. Some species in the genus Electrophorus have been recorded delivering electric pulses of up to 860 volts, while a typical household outlet is only around 110 to 220 volts. Almost the entire length of its body is made up of electric organs, bundles of thousands of cells that work like tiny batteries wired in series. When it needs to strike, it triggers them all at once, producing a shock strong enough to stun fish, drive off predators, and it can even be dangerous to larger animals if they're in the water. But electricity isn't just a weapon. Electric eels also constantly give off weaker pulses like a form of biological radar. Those signals bounce back from nearby objects, allowing them to see their surroundings in muddy water where eyesight is almost useless. In the darkness of the Amazon, the electric eel has turned electricity into both a set of eyes and a protective shield. Number 10. The bullet ant and the Amazon's most painful rite of passage. Growing up through hundreds of stings, the bullet ant is a large ant, reaching nearly 0.8 to 1 inch, about 2 to 2.5 centimeters in length, and it lives on tree trunks and around the bases of trees in the South American rainforest. It's famous for having one of the most painful insect stings in the world. Many entomologists rank the bullet ant's sting at the very top of the Schmidt sting pain index. People who have been stung describe the sensation as walking on burning coals with a nail driven deep into your heel, along with intense burning, numbness, and muscle spasms that can last for hours, sometimes even an entire day. Its venom is a mixture of powerful pain-inducing compounds that affect the nervous system, strong enough to make most animals keep their distance. In the Amazon rainforest of Brazil, the Sateré-Mawé people have incorporated this ant into a traditional coming-of-age ritual for boys. Adults in the tribe weave gloves out of leaves, then place dozens to hundreds of bullet ants inside, arranging them so their stingers all point inward. When the ceremony begins, the boys step into the ritual circle, put both hands into the gloves, and must endure the pain from countless stings without screaming and without removing the gloves midway. This ritual isn't done just once. Many young men repeat it multiple times over several years, demonstrating their determination and endurance. For the Sateré-Mawé, this isn't a reckless, life-threatening challenge, but a way for the community to teach courage, patience, and responsibility to the tribe, using one of the Amazon's smallest yet most formidable creatures to remind them that growing up always comes with pain, along with the awareness of protecting those around them. Number 9. The Kayapó, forest guardians protecting one of Earth's massive carbon vaults. In central Brazil, if you look at satellite maps, you can see a boundary that's hard to miss. On one side, dense green forest that remains largely intact. On the other, bare land, farms, and patchy cattle pastures. In many cases, the line between those two colors is exactly the territorial boundary of the Kayapó people. They own and manage an area covering millions of acres, and what's remarkable is that inside those borders, the forest is still standing, with far fewer roads or large-scale projects cutting through it. Scientists often describe this region as a natural carbon vault. The dense vegetation helps store a massive amount of carbon in plant biomass and soil, playing an important role in limiting additional CO2 from being released into the atmosphere. For decades, the Kayapó have organized patrols, blocked access, and spoken out against loggers, gold miners, and hydroelectric dam projects that threaten their forest. One of the most recognizable images of this tribe is of warriors with painted faces, feathered headdresses, and traditional ornaments standing in their villages, and those same people later appearing on the stages of international climate conferences speaking about the Amazon rainforest. They are both an indigenous community with a distinct culture and true forest guardians on the front lines of protecting one of the most important tropical forests on the planet. Number 8. Giant anaconda, the living log hidden under muddy water with a crushing grip. In the muddy swamps of the Amazon, there's a creature that, at a quick glance, looks just like a floating log, but it's actually the green anaconda, the heaviest snake on Earth. An adult anaconda can grow over 20 feet long, with a body as thick as an adult human thigh. and can weigh several hundred pounds. They spend almost their entire lives in the water. Most of their massive body stays submerged in mud and floating plants, with only their eyes and nostrils set high on the head, breaking the surface to breathe and watch. This allows them to lie perfectly still, like a statue, waiting for prey to wander close. When a capybara, large water bird, or small caiman passes by, that huge bundle of muscle explodes into motion, lunging forward, wrapping tightly around the victim and squeezing. Anacondas aren't venomous, but they don't need venom. The crushing force of their coils cuts off blood flow, causing the prey to suffocate before being swallowed whole. After a massive meal, they can rest for days or even weeks without hunting again. What makes anacondas even more mysterious is that they live in deep, murky waters where few people ever go, making it extremely difficult to accurately measure the largest individuals. Recent reports of unusually large anacondas in northern regions suggest that somewhere in the flooded forests of the Amazon, the biggest snakes ever may still be moving silently beneath mats of floating vegetation never fully seen by human eyes. Number 7. The jaguar, the silent king of the forest floor, with a skull-cracking bite. Within the Amazon rainforest, the top land predator is the jaguar. At first glance, it looks similar to the African leopard, but the jaguar is shorter, broader across the shoulders, and much more powerfully built. Like a compact force machine. Its coat features rosette patterns with a black dot in the center, a key detail that distinguishes it from leopards. The most remarkable trait is its exceptionally strong bite relative to body size. A jaguar's jaws are powerful enough to pierce a skull or crack a turtle's shell, so instead of going for the throat, it often attacks its prey directly through the head. Thanks to this, its diet is extremely varied, ranging from capybaras and wild pigs to marsupials, monkeys, turtles, and even small caiman crocodiles. Unlike the typical image of cats avoiding water, jaguars are very comfortable in it. They're strong swimmers and often patrol riverbanks and wetlands, waiting before suddenly lunging into the water to strike. They live solitary lives, with each individual controlling a large territory marked by scent and claw marks on trees, and they're most active at dusk and at night. Ecologically, the jaguar sits at the top of the food chain, helping keep populations of herbivores and smaller animals in balance. That's why the presence of jaguars in a forest is a clear sign that the ecosystem is still large enough, quiet enough, and rich enough in prey to support this silent king of the Amazon. Number 6. Poison dart frogs, tiny rainforest killers. Poison dart frogs are a group of small frogs found mainly in the tropical rainforests of Central and South America, commonly seen in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Brazil, and nearby regions. They're famous for their striking colors: bright blue, green, yellow, orange, red, or multiple colors on the same body. In the wild, the more vivid the color, the more it usually serves as a warning. It's a signal to predators that the animal is toxic and shouldn't be eaten. The skin of some poison dart frog species contains powerful neurotoxins that, if they enter the bloodstream, can cause muscle paralysis, cardiovascular problems, and even death in many animals. Because of that, many birds, snakes, and predators learn to avoid them. In the past, some indigenous communities in the rainforest used this toxin by gently warming the frogs over a fire or stimulating them to release it, then coating the tips of blow darts or arrows for hunting. This is where the name poison dart frog comes from. One interesting detail is that not every frog is naturally poisonous from birth. Studies show that the toxins in many species come from their diet, especially certain ants, beetles, and other toxic insects. When these frogs are raised in captivity on a clean diet, they almost completely lose their toxicity, showing that their chemical defense is built up through the rainforest food chain, rather than being produced entirely inside their bodies. Number 5. The boiling river in the Amazon, a deadly trap for wildlife. In Peru's Amazon rainforest, there's a river that has amazed both scientists and travelers, Shanai Timpishka, often called the boiling river of the Amazon. The water in this river isn't cool, the way we usually imagine rainforest streams. Instead, it's unusually hot, with many sections measured around 140 to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. And in some stretches near the hottest springs, temperatures can reach nearly 194 to 203 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to be almost boiling for living creatures that fall in. In the hottest parts, if a frog or small animal slips into the water, the heat can be quickly fatal. What makes it especially unusual is that this river isn't near a volcano. It's thought to be created by a geothermal groundwater system. Rainwater seeps deep underground, is heated by geothermal energy, then rises back to the surface as hot springs and a hot river. The hot stretch runs for a few miles, is a few dozen yards wide, and flows through lush green forest, but the surface is always sending up white steam, like a huge pot of water set over heat. Even though people sometimes exaggerate and say, the Amazon has 203 degrees Fahrenheit rivers, in reality, this is a very rare, localized phenomenon, not a general feature of the entire Amazon river system. But the fact that a near-boiling hot river exists at all hot enough to be lethal for animals that fall in has still made Shanai Timpishka one of the strangest and most unforgettable natural wonders of the South American rainforest. Number 4. Three-toed sloths, surviving the Amazon at their own pace. The three-toed sloth is one of the most iconic animals of the Amazon rainforest. Famous for moving so slowly it can seem almost motionless. But that slowness is actually a perfect survival strategy. They spend nearly their entire lives hanging upside down in trees, moving very little to save energy and avoid drawing attention from predators. A three-toed sloth's fur is its own tiny ecosystem. Algae and microorganisms often grow on it, giving the coat a greenish tint that helps the sloth blend in almost perfectly with the forest canopy. Thanks to that, three-toed sloths can practically disappear in plain sight from predators like eagles or jaguars. One especially surprising fact is that a three-toed sloth comes down to the ground only about once a week to use the bathroom. Something that seems risky, but it plays an important role in the ecosystem because it adds nutrients for the host tree. With their slow pace, low metabolism, and fine-tuned adaptations, three-toed sloths show that in the Amazon, it's not always the fastest or strongest that lasts. It's the one that fits its environment best. Number 3. The giant water lily, a leaf several meters wide that can support a child. On some calm, mirror-flat lakes in the Amazon, you'll see huge round leaves packed closely together, each one reaching about 6.5 to 10 feet across. That's the giant water lily, Victoria amazonica, an iconic flower of the region. The top side of the leaf is bright green, with the rim slightly turned up like a tray, while the underside is a dense network of reddish-brown veins, stiff like a scaled-down steel framework, with sharp spines that help deter fish or animals that try to chew on it. That framework is what lets the leaf spread weight so well. If you add a board to distribute the load, A single leaf can support a weight, roughly like a small child sitting on it without sinking. The plant is rooted in the mud at the bottom of the lake, with the stem and leaf stalks underwater, leaving only the leaf surface and flowers above the water. The Victoria amazonica flower is just as remarkable. It blooms at night, opening white on the first night and giving off a strong scent to attract flower-eating beetles. When these visitors crawl inside to feed on pollen and nectar, the flower closes, holding them inside through the night. The next day, it opens a second time in pink, releasing the beetles, now covered in pollen, so they can fly to other flowers and unintentionally pollinate them, and then the bloom quickly fades. Each flower fully shines for only one night and one day, but with hundreds of blooms opening and fading in rotation. This is how the giant water lily keeps the lake surface looking vibrant and keeps its life cycle going in the Amazon rainforest. Number 2, the kapok tree, a living high-rise, towering tens of meters high, sheltering an entire world. In the Amazon rainforest, the kapok tree, also known as Sheba, is a true giant. It can reach about 200 feet, 60 meters tall, with a trunk up to roughly 10 feet, around 3 meters, in diameter, towering above all other layers of the canopy. Some species even have sharp, cone-shaped thorns on the trunk, giving it a rugged, almost intimidating look. On its branches and in its cracks exists an entire natural apartment complex, home to frogs, birds, insects, ferns, and bromeliads clinging and living there. Kapok is seasonally deciduous and is often one of the first trees to colonize gaps in the forest because its seeds are easily carried by the wind. Its pale white to pink flowers give off an unpleasant smell, but one that bats find irresistible, making them the main pollinators as they fly from flower to flower. Each tree can produce about 500 to 4,000 pods, and each pod contains around 200 seeds wrapped in fine, silky fibers. When the pod splits open, these fibers carry the seeds far and wide, like tiny parachutes. Kapok trees range from southern Mexico down to the southern Amazon, and they're also found in West Africa, most likely because unopened pods can float across the ocean. For humans, the tree is both practical and sacred. The lightweight wood is used for canoes and carvings. The floss is used to stuff mattresses, pillows, and life jackets. The seed oil is used to make soap, and some parts are used in traditional medicine. The ancient Maya even believed the kapok was the tree at the center of the world, a pillar connecting sky and earth. Truly a living high-rise for both the rainforest and indigenous culture. Number 1, the harpy eagle, the top predator ruling the skies of the Amazon. The harpy eagle is one of the largest and most powerful eagles in the world, living in dense tropical rainforests of Central and South America, including the Amazon. An adult can have a wingspan of over 6.5 feet and weigh up to about 15 to 20 pounds, with females typically larger than males. The most striking feature of the harpy eagle is its rear talons. Each claw can be about 4 to 5 inches long, nearly the size of the claws of a North American grizzly bear. With these talons, a harpy eagle is strong enough to grab and lift relatively large prey, such as sloths, monkeys, and small marsupials straight off tree branches, then carry them back to its nest. Unlike many eagles that soar over open skies, the harpy eagle lives inside thick forest. Its wings are broad, but not overly long, allowing it to maneuver easily between dense tree canopies. It often sits motionless on high branches, watching quietly, then dives rapidly in a sudden ambush rather than circling to hunt. The presence of harpy eagles in a forest is an important ecological sign. It shows the forest is still large enough and rich enough in sizable prey to support a top-level predator like this. In other words, if harpy eagles are still perched in the treetops, the ecosystem beneath them is likely still functioning quite well. Today's journey exploring the Amazon rainforest comes to an end. Did any of the incredible and sometimes mysterious things about this green ocean surprise you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support our channel, and make sure you don't miss our upcoming adventures. And click the video appearing in the corner of the screen to discover even more amazing places and stories. Goodbye, and see you next time.